So what is the decent salary in the UK? £100,000 a year? I think that considered to be a very, very decent salary. In this video, I want to talk about how you can achieve the financial freedom. And in order for you to do that, you have to train your brain in the way which can help you to achieve your goals. My name is Ansha. I am 29-year-old, and the reason I'm making this video because I consider myself to be very proud. So I can say that I make 5x more as compared to an average person with a decent job making over £100,000 a year by working only 10 to 15 hours in a week in my business. So I started my first business at the age of 19. Now I'm 29. 10 years, I make £500,000. So I think I had to train my brain in the way to achieve these things in my own life. So that's what I'm going to share with you. So social media have a very big influence on our life nowadays. Like, kids are now growing up watching TikTok. Back in the days when I was in a high school, during the break time, we all sit together. We will have our lunch and most of the guys will talk about girls. Most of the guys will talk about some games. Most of the guys will talk about some movies. And my brain always been like, okay, I am eating, let's say, this pasta right now. I'm just giving you one example, right? I will look at the pasta and I will say, okay, well, I bought this pasta for, let's say, £5, and how much it costed the canteen to make this pasta. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna calculate the profit. So let's say you go out in a dinner with me. It's not a really you're not gonna have a good time, I can tell you for sure, because most of the time I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna talk about, okay, well, look at this restaurant. They have 5 people working right now. Let's say they are paying them £15 an hour. Like, that's how my brain works naturally. Most of the time I'm not making these things up, and I'm gonna be like, okay, they buy the meat, and the cost of the raw meat is this. They have turned into the barbecue. There are 10 to 15 people working. They are paying this much. Let's assume how much the rent is going to be. So I will just sit down and naturally I will just try to calculate the profit and loss. This is how my brain works most of the time. So that's why, like, none of my friends actually like hanging out with me, because this is the only thing which I talk about, profit and loss and business. So naturally my brain is trained to think that way. And part of the reason I consume probably 10% entertainment on a social media. I don't watch TikTok. I don't watch a lot of movies, like probably maybe one in a month. That would be the most of it. Most of my videos, I watch a lot of YouTube and I consume it on passively. So if I'm working, I will have a headphone on. I'm listening to some sort of business stuff most of the time. And it forced me to think in the way which is really been helpful throughout my entire life. So I started my business at the age of 19, and that didn't feel like I was doing something which I wasn't enjoying, because if I'm thinking about the business all the time, if I'm talking about business all the time, naturally my brain became in the way that I actually enjoy only business, like enjoy running business, looking for a product. Like if, let's say, I need to sell this hand sanitizer, I will look, okay, what is the cost of this one? How can I make my packing better? So the point which I'm trying to make right here, every single person, there are 2 things which you can take away from this conversation. So you can train your brain in the way which can help you achieve the financial freedom. So number 1 is going to be, you have to find something which you truly like. So you never get tired thinking about it. You never get tired doing a calculation. In my case, like, I never get tired once I'm calculating, okay, well, how much this product is going to cost. And that was naturally lead me to selling on eBay and Amazon, because business at the end of the day is very simple. You buy something for cheap, you sell it for expensive. Even though when I was running a mobile phone shop, it was simple as you buy something cheap, you sell it for expensive. So I was more catered toward running a business. That's how my brain was. And if you think about it, people might argue, like, you was naturally born this way. But if I look at my consumption overall, the social media, most of my youth, from the age of 15 to 16, all the Facebook and everything was really, really dominant. And we used to spend a lot of time using Facebook and all that kind of stuff as well. And my split between watching something entertainment, like a movies or any other thing was only 10%, and 90% of that was business stuff, which had to force my brain to think in the way which helped me to achieve this position where I am today as well. So the first thing, you're gonna have to find something you like. That's really, really helpful. You all have those things. You're just gonna have to think about what that thing is. Like a lot of people, I later down, I found in my life that I am really good at, naturally I'm really good at explaining something to someone. I can find the most easiest terminology, and I can explain something to someone who have no idea, which led me to start this YouTube channel, because I was really good at explaining. I was really good at teaching people how to do stuff as well. And naturally, and I don't think that was very natural. I think because I've been consuming a lot of business stuff, so I just found that running a business is something which naturally doesn't feel like a work to me. It is my passion. I can do this every single day and still not get tired about this. So these are two takeaways. This is the way you can switch between the business and entertainment, like 90% business and 10% entertainment. Obviously, entertainment is good for some time. You just want to chill out, listen to songs, all that kind of stuff as well. But you don't want to have that dominate over your mind, and you're feeding yourself with useless stuff all the time, which is not giving you any type of value whatsoever other than entertainment. So this is the way you are training your brain to think in a more creative way. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is the first point. The second thing you want to think about, if you are especially a teenager or you are in your early 20s, because this is the most important period in your life, believe it or not. At this time, you have to think about how you are spending your time. What are the people? Who are the people you are hanging out with? What kind of hobbies they have? How their day-to-day look like? So in my early 20s, I never drinked. I never done any kind of drugs. I never hanged out outside in the nightclubs. I'm not saying these things, I'm not sitting here trying to say like these things are, you shouldn't do those things at the end. But I think as a human being, we have a very less control on ourselves. And I'm a kind of person who like to keep myself within control, and I know my limits at the end. So what happened during the teenager period and during early 20s, if you're leaning more towards that stuff, which is obviously fun at that age, I'm not saying it's not, and to some degree we all should experience that. I think I was the very extreme one. I was like completely no, I'm not doing it, like completely, because of some I kept myself very busy in the business. That was the first reason. Second thing, I never consume alcohol because of religious reason. I never done any sort of drugs because it was more where I grew up was not socially acceptable whatsoever inside my family, inside neighborhood, inside the city at the same time. I think those are all the things which actually made me realize life is not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be easy. It's a very big statement. I'm going towards a little bit on a philosophical side, and it is not. You find it very boring, but it's very important to kind of hear out at this point, especially if you are a teenager, you are in early 20s. These are the things you might not be completely interested in. It seems like fun at this age, but what gonna happen over the period of time that you sort of gonna forget to understand that life is difficult in general, and that's the way the life supposed to be. It's meant to be difficult. But if what that like weekend hangout or what that the joint or what that feeling of alcohol all in your body will does, it gives you a very short term escape from the reality, and you sort of think like, okay, but that's the way the life meant to be, which is not true. That's a very short term pleasure, and the trap that you're gonna fall into over the period of time, because always you're gonna look for those short term pleasure in each and everything. So it's gonna become difficult for you to focus focus in your study, in your business, you're gonna find it very daunting for you. You're gonna, let's say, sit in front of the computer to do something and think about, oh my god, like what I'm doing. I don't like this. I mean, why the life can't be always Dan Brazilian lifestyle? You know what I mean? Why I can't be like that? Why it's not something which I can just stay high or stay drunk all the time. I just want to go through that feeling all the time. But it is not going to be the case for most of the people. Even if you talk about, let's say, Dan Brazilian, you see that, lifestyle all the time, like, hanging around with the girls, booze, all that kind of stuff as well. Trust me, now he's obviously a lifestyle influencer. He's a very decent, he's a very good, not just a decent, I mean, it's a very, very good businessman. So by showcasing the style, he can sell his, vodka and tequila and all that kind of stuff as well at the same time, because that's what his brand is. But I am sure there are the days when he just think about, okay, well, I wish I don't have to go through this sort of lifestyle. Trust me, like everything which he obviously showcase on a YouTube, or everything which he showcase on the social media is the part of his brand. It's the part of his business. And I think there are the certain days he also he's thinking, I wish I don't have to do this in order to sell my products, because now it become a chore. No, it became a business for him. So it looks very attractive from outside, but as soon as you go into it, trust me, it's not. Most of the people I meet who started drinking or started doing drugs in a very early teenager or very early 20s, their mental clarity and their work ethic have impacted a lot because of it. And they find it very difficult to actually understand life in general. And they think that everything should be just given to them, instead of they sort of forget the reality of life. Like, in order for you to achieve something, you're gonna have to earn it. So having a feeling of entitlement in them actually becomes higher. They just think about why I am like this, why I can't be that person, why I wasn't born in that rich family. Sometimes these are very fair questions, but the thing is, like, not everybody is going to be that lucky and born in a royal family and become Prince Harry at the end of the day as well. So we all gonna have to accept the reality of life, and you're gonna have to think about, okay, these are the things which I have to work on, and if I will work on these things, then this is the only way I can achieve them, because there is no other way. So having a feeling of entitlement and having a feeling of taking everything for granted is something that becomes more, that feeling becomes more higher if you are spending your time looking for the small escape every weekend or every single day in a lot of people cases as well. So you're gonna have to stay very disciplined, and you have to train your brain in the way that you're gonna have to accept the reality of life and think about, okay, well, the life is very difficult in general, and only way for me to actually escape out of it is, like, I'm gonna have to stay in a discipline. I'm gonna work my way through this life, and I'm gonna eventually find my own freedom, which will be I think that's like a ultimate freedom at the end of the day, which comes with a very small sacrifice. If you don't have to, like, let's say down the line you can enjoy all those things, but I think this is a teenager and early 20s is a very crucial period of your life. So this is the second thing. The third and last thing is literally changed my perspective about each and everything. I'm a person, I don't believe in luck, and I never believed that these are the things which are happening and I just got lucky that I'm making this much money in my life. Like, sometimes it feels very unreal. That I completely accept that, as compared to, obviously, if I don't compare in a way that I look down on other people, but sometimes people will say I'm earning 3,000 or 4,000 pounds like every single month. That seems like their life seems like a struggle, but as where I see myself, like 3,000-4,000 is something that I might make in one day sometime. Like, it seems that easy for me. So sometimes everything feels unreal, but I truly believe that's not luck. It's something that I had to work for. If I was lucky, then I was probably the son of Queen Elizabeth. That's what I call luck. I was born in a rich family. Like, that's the luck. But everything which I had to do is something I had to work for. So I completely forgot the concept of luck. I thought, okay, this is something which doesn't exist. So my brain had a zero sense of entitlement. I knew it that everything which I need to achieve in my life is something that I need to work for. It's not gonna magically happen, and this is something where I'm gonna have to learn, and of course I can learn, and then I'm gonna have to implement those things in order for me to achieve my goals in my life as well. So working was something. First thing, obviously, I've worked on, as I said, earlier on in the life, I realized what my passion is, and I worked on it without looking back, without distracting myself into a fleshiness of life sometime. Like, you have fancy things around you. It's very, like, nowadays the circumstances are like this. If you are a person like me, considered to be very abnormal in your friend circles most of the time, like a person who don't hang out by choice, the person who don't hang out, the person who don't drink, the person who don't do drugs, the person who is just talking about business and money all the time. I think our system is kind of now, system and society is sort of designed in the way that those subjects are very taboo. And if you are talking about that, then you consider to be a normal person, and the normal person is like who is hanging out and doing all that stuff as well. That became more normal. So I think in this, especially in these times, it's very, very important for a man to actually really discipline themselves. And this is the way where you can earn wealth, respect, and freedom in your life. And that's the only way. I'm going to put one video right here. I don't want to make this video too long. And this video will talk about the financial freedom as well. Make sure you check that out.